Hi and welcome. Oh, we got the wrong thing, but it doesn't matter, right? It says Ward 13 with Jon Hopwood. There is no Ward 13 today. There's only the sports show. We've got Erich Pilcher, the Judas of Ward 13, calling in from Iowa. Erich, would you like to say so? Introduce yourself.
I be the Judas, yes.
Yes, poached by a two-teed Yeti. And we have our old friend Peter Stilla from the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Peter, unfortunately, we do not have that icon of you with Casey Stengel staring into a crystal ball. So why don't you introduce yourself to the folks?
Don't you have the icon of me hanging out with that 6 foot lobster?
No, Lobstera is that would be for Eric and I if we ever choose to review John Waters' seminal film in many ways, Multiple Maniacs from 1970. No, what we do.
Seminole, it is. Uh, yeah, well, I am Peter Stiller. I am calling from Massachusetts, as John said, and I'm here to talk some baseball. So I'm told, anyway.
Well, first we're going to talk a little about the Celtics. Eric, take it away. And Peter, interrupt as needed. And Kyle, you too, if you have anything to add. Eric, what's up with the Celtics?
Right, tonight, once again, the Boston Celtics have made the Eastern Conference Finals. They take on the Miami Heat, who, since the playoffs have started, have been on a tear. They have eliminated the 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks,
Yes.
the 4 seed Cleveland Cavaliers, 4 seed New York Knicks, and now it's the Celtics. They met last year. It was an exciting, intense 7-game series. Celtics ended up winning. This year, it's a little bit different, at least in my estimation. I think that it'll be a good series, but I have the Celtics pulling it off in 6 games.
And are you willing to bet? Because we are making book.
No, I'm not willing to bet because anytime I bet on my team, they lose. So,
Okay, Peter Stoller, are you willing to go out on a limb and say Celtics in 6?
Celtics are going to win this series. Six sounds about right. Could be 5. Hey, look, it could be 7. But I think the Celtics will win this series, and the only problem with the Celtics is they tend to just, at a certain point in any playoff series, if they're not in a must-win situation, they have a tendency just to lay an egg and basically barely show up. And if that's the case, they probably don't have as much leeway to rebound against Miami as they would have against Philadelphia, I think. Philadelphia played over their heads and won a couple of one-possession games, but I like the Celtics, and I hope it's against Denver because if the Lakers, if they manage to get to the final, there would be widespread nausea in my household anyway.
I just have a quick question, and anybody feel free to answer it. Do the Lakers still have the NBA Commissioner's Office on their side, affecting, putting the fix in for them? Eric?
Of course they do. They
I
always have.
Okay, I know that you were going to say that, Peter. That's why I said Eric. Eric, our double screen friend. Let's go. Oh, only one. On my screen, it's 2.
that's a tough one. I do think there is some favoritism.
Some, huh? So just some. Okay.
But I will also say this, that the NBA is very rating-based. And I don't know if it's as noticeable now as it was during the Magic Johnson Showtime era or Kobe and Shaq, just because there are so many more stars in the league now that make many more teams marketable.
Like a follow-up on that?
Well, yeah, maybe. But you can see it on like ABC, ESPN. I mean, they're drooling with the thoughts of the Lakers being in the finals, and even this morning after Denver won game 1 last night, you can see how crestfallen all the ESPN talking heads were. We'll see. And I'll give the Lakers credit because, I think they started the season 2-10, and and eventually, they got it together, and they beat the Warriors, which I wasn't expecting, to tell you the truth. So, but I think that Nuggets-Lakers series could probably go either way. I think Denver has a slight edge. Nobody is dealing with the Joker right now.
Ooh.
But that's a series that could go either way. I think in regards to Jokic, what you have to do is kind of have to take approach the Celtics with Embiid in the Sixers series. You play him one-on-one. Don't double him. He's going to score because 40, 50 points from Nikola Jokic by itself is not going to beat you. What's going to beat you is when you double team Jokic and you bring help over and then other guys get open, like Porter and Murray and Caldwell Pope, and they start shooting well. That's when the snowball effect occurs. And last night, I thought when the Lakers were able to keep the Nuggets in a half-court set, make them run offense instead of just running up and down the court, the Lakers had a decisive advantage in that game.
Peter, what do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I didn't see much of the game, but I saw like a good part of the first half and some of the second. At halftime it looked over. I think it was 16 at halftime, and the final score was 6 points, I think. So I'm sure that there is something to what you're saying. Some of the Nuggets guys besides Jokic, they've got some good role players, but it's not like when the Celtics were playing up against Embiid, they had to deal with Harden too, and I'm not sure if the Nuggets have that second go-to guy like Philadelphia is, even though overall they're definitely a better team than Philadelphia. But I think they do depend on Jokic for an awful lot.
They do, but their second horse hasn't been talked about this year, and that would be Jamal Murray. The issue I have with Jamal Murray is last night, teams, when Jamal Murray guarded a player, the players he guarded shot 19 of 24. That can happen. You cannot allow you can't have a guy on the court that's going to allow people to shoot whatever percentage that is.
Who was he guarding?
They switched it quite a bit.
Good God. Hold on, Erich. What's going on there in Massachusetts? Is that nuclear war breaking out, Peter?
Oh, no, that's the local train going by. It's,
We've lost the picture of
I live in a
Erich.
quaint old town that has a train a block away going through it. And
That sounds very exciting.
it is. It's a thrill.
Does the milk train stop there anymore? Ha ha ha. That's a reference that would date us, huh? Tab Hunter's solo appearance on Broadway. Erich, have you gone?
I'm here.
Well, we've lost the picture of you, but you can keep talking because we have the picture of Peter here. Until my computer dies.
Lord have mercy.
I could disconnect you for a second because I can't.
Okay,
see
hold on. Erich, we got to disconnect you for a second.
Okay.
I'll be talking to Peter for a bit, but hopefully you'll be right back. Peter, okay. What's going on with the Red Sox, Peter Stilla?
What's
Here we
going on
go.
with the Red Sox? Well, the Red Sox are
I have my Red
think
Sox
23
jacket.
and 20. And that's probably exactly what they're going to be on October 1st or
Just-
whatever date the season ends.
6 games above 500,
I
maybe?
see them winning, 83, 84 games. But, they have maybe the potential for a bit more. Chris Sale has come back and is looking really good. He's looking better than, I thought he was. I thought he would. He basically has barely pitched in 2 years. James Paxton looked really good the other night, and the kid Bello looked solid. After that, Nick Pavetta, it's time to take him behind the barn and shoot him.
Or
And,
would the dumpster behind Fenway Park suffice, or does it have to be a barn?
Well, geez, yeah, that's a worse stuff than being shot. That dumpster, you get nibbled to death by rodents.
Well, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, they're okay, but the American League East is flipping ridiculous. You are going to have 5 teams over 500 at the end of the year, and it's if the Sox are in another division, yeah, maybe, but that division is just so loaded. I just don't see it.
Should they appeal to the commissioner and be put in the National League? I mean, it won't change the schedule at all.
Well, no. You know what? I like that schedule. It's just like
You actually...
At this point, it's like, why not? Especially with the National League has the designated hitter now. Seeing the rest of the AL East, 19 flipping times a season, I thought that was a bit much, so now it's like 14 times. I don't know. I'm okay with it.
So don't you believe that now that the MVP award should just be both leagues, just like the NFL, since they've always dreamed since the mid-'90s of becoming the NFL with this ridiculous idea that they're going to get NFL-like ratings? There should just be one MVP, one batting champ, one ERA champ. Go back to like the original 9 to 10 years of the Golden Glove. One winner on both leagues.
Yeah, sure. Why not? But that'll probably never happen either, because that's probably something that has to be negotiated with the players' union or something like that.
Yes,
So,
it might save
I don't see that, but
incentive.
It would improve the quality of the award if all of a sudden if you're a pitcher and you're going up against every pitcher in Major League Baseball, that is a Cy Young award to appreciate.
That's right, Peter Stilla. So when Sandy Koufax won his 3, it was against everybody. Of course, it was before expansion. Well, actually, it was after expansion. The NL had expanded in '62, and he got his 3 what was it, 63, 65, and 66. Well, Kyle, we actually remember this stuff.
One award in Major League Baseball for that?
It's either the Golden Gloves were started either in 57 or 58, but in 67, by the time Jim Lonborg won the Cy Young Award, it was that was the first year for Cy Young in both leagues. I mean, but remember, the National League and the American League were two distinct entities up until Bud Selig. Hey, Erich, you're back. We're talking baseball now because you disappeared. You went down on us, probably to talk to that traitorous. No, you're the traitor. He's the backstabber, Matt Connerton. I tell you, we're ending the show early at 4:30 because I'm going on Matt's show, uninvited, and I'm going to give him a piece of my mind, Erich, for poaching you.
What is Matt's show?
Matt's a radio show. I don't think you've ever been on it, Peter. Have you ever called in on the radio here?
No.
You sure?
No, no, not unless you've done a radio show and I was just too daft to even notice.
No, I've never done a radio show. Erich and I were thinking of doing a show, but unfortunately, vaudeville is just a distant memory, so our pitch failed.
What movie was it when Mickey Rooney was trying to defend Frank Morgan by saying he's waiting for vaudeville to come back?
The great Frank Morgan. You know, most people remember him as the Wizard of Oz, but to a real cineast, he is Jean Harlow's father in Bombshell, who answers all situations with the declaration, "It's time for an efficacious libation."
An efficacious libation.
Oh, we got.
He was also really good as the elderly, kindly telegraph operator in the Human Comedy.
I won't see that. I've never seen the Human Comedy because Mickey. I was waiting till I actually got taller as an adult to be taller than Mickey Rooney before I watched it. So I think that's never going to happen, Peter.
Oh, geez, well, yeah, if that's the standard, you've probably never seen a Mickey Rooney movie.
Hey, I'm going to speak to my...
He was Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Okay, as I told my director, Kyle, we have a guy that has a big mouth, and that's Peter. But we have Kyle is waiting to say something. Kyle, what is your take on the Red Sox? Peter says they're just going to be 3 or 4 games above 500 when it comes to October.
80 wins. That's the number.
80? That's not 500.
Nope. That's the minimal that I'm giving them this year. 80 wins.
Minimal?
Maximum, excuse me.
Maximum. Oh, okay. Hey, Peter, you've got 85 wins?
I'm thinking 83, 84. But I'm also, reserving judgment if, Trevor Story, if he, comes back and he can hit a little by July. Not to mention Adam Duvall. I mean, that guy was raking. And, of course, it was only a week into the season where he broke his wrist. But, there's a couple of pieces there that would, really fill out the lineup. And, I mean, the thing is, it was like I was saying, at their best, they're probably not going to finish above 4th in that division because that division is by far the best in baseball.
Okay, we're going to let Erich say a few things because he's only got 8 minutes to go. And if you want to keep going after 4:30, we can go until you run out of gas. But Erich, let's hear you. How many games are Red Sox going to win? We have 80, we got 83, 84.
I'm going to go 81. 82 maybe. There are just so many flaws with how this team was constructed that Peter brought up an amazing point. This is the toughest division in baseball, with probably the NL West being second. hard because you look at it, if you look at the rosters and just compare, you can't say they're any better than the Rays. You can't say they're any better than the Yankees or the Blue Jays. And if you compare them to the Orioles, you're like, this Orioles team has a lot of great young players on it. And you're like maybe a toss-up between those two.
I have, the Norm and Friends show is within about 30, less than 40 minutes, which means the psychic energy is gathering here, Erich. So I'm having a message coming in. Maybe perhaps it's from Gonzo, who's taping, I think, a lacrosse show today out in the field and couldn't make it. 79 victories. So Kyle, the director, not Kyle Clayton, who is making chicken fingers at the Puritan, which is Congressman Pappas's restaurant. He couldn't make it today. I'm going with 79. 79, and it's going to be an uneven number because something's telling me on the way to the last game they're going to get speeding tickets. Not just the 25 players, but the manager and the entire coaching staff.
I think if I may
forfeit.
Hot take here. I think just because there's forces against this team.
Yes, psychic disturbances. Perhaps a satanic portal over Fenway Park.
And these folks want to spite Red Sox Nation. I'm going to say Xander Bogaerts is a finalist for National League MVP.
National League MVP. Okay, there you go. And what Red Sox players do you think were going to be traded to the National League before everything's over, Peter Stilla? Who's likely to go on the block?
Well, it's just like, I don't think they're going to be, if, like, the trade deadline moves around and they're, like, around 500, which I expect them to be, I don't see them getting rid of anybody because, they might still be in the hunt. But on the other hand, I don't see them getting anybody either because they don't have much to give. Everybody who's, has potential is already in the line, Tristan Casas and, who else? Whoever else they have that's like, was in AAA just a year ago. And everybody else is too far away and they wouldn't want to give them up. So
my eyes are misting. You know what? It sounds like, Peter, you are a writer, and your father came up with the moniker, The Impossible Dream, back in 1967 for the Red Sox. It was almost like listening to a mid-70s Diana Ross song, that they're going to give all they can give, but it'll end tragically. I think I'm going to start crying.
Well,
they made me cry before.
I wouldn't say end tragically because it would be entirely expected, Tragic was the Bruins, but no one's expecting the Sox team to do anything.
Okay, Erich, we got 5 minutes before you have to go. How did the Bruins do it for you this year? Did you, you had a lot of things that you were saying about the team.
To me, as a Boston sports fan, this disappointment the Bruins rained down on me was up there with the 18-1 Patriots.
Exactly.
Oh, I think the Patriots was even worse.
No, because that's one game.
Yeah, but it was the game. It was the game.
This was over 7 games. You were outclassed by a mediocre team.
But we're not talking like this is Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Like we're not talking about the 18 and I don't know.
It's even worse because you were bounced in the first round.
Oh, you may, at least they went down before they could really humiliate us. That's my point of view,
I
folks.
think it's a humiliation to lose to the Florida Panthers in the first round. I mean, especially when they went all in this year like they did, to get Tyler Bertuzzi, to get the 2 players from the Capitals at the trade deadline, and to really have nothing to show for it, because my understanding is all 3 of them are going to walk this offseason.
Well, they have the best record in the history of the NHL. It's kind of like if we get rid of the 1908 Cubs, that Lou Piniella led Seattle team, won 116 games. I mean, they didn't do much with it when you really think about it, but they do have that post-expansion record. You can't take that away from them, Erich Pilcher.
I'm not trying to take it away from, diminishes it to me, because it's like the year the Golden State Warriors went 73-9. It's like, okay, that's great accomplishment, but you fell short when it mattered most.
Oh my God! Now Peter, we were out in the Bay Area when Don Nelly drove Chris Webber off of the team, a #1 draft pick. I'm starting to have flashbacks. Can you save the situation here right now, Peter Stilla?
I would say the 18-1 Patriots and this year's Bruins team was equally shocking, but I wouldn't say the Patriots was a crushing disappointment.
Yeah.
The Bruins was a shock, but I agree with you, Hop. You can't compare a Super Bowl or a World Series defeat with a first-round playoff defeat. And and geez, and dare I say it, boy, the Bruins were just like snake bit. They were like game 5. It was tied. Marchand's going in for a breakaway with literally under 10 seconds left. Couldn't finish. The goalie, gave the overtime away. And then game 6, they had 2 1-goal leads in the third period. Couldn't hold them. And game 7, it was the.
I didn't think they'd pull it off. I did not think the Bruins were going to win Game 7. I can't say that about the 18-1 Patriots, And I can still remember that game, which I'm going to forget the Bruins game.
In Game 7, when the Bruins allowed the Panthers to tie it with under a minute left,
It was over.
That's when it sunk in. When I realized they're losing the series. I didn't even watch overtime. I didn't need to.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to win. But I can't say that. In fact, our background today is Reggie Dunlop and his star player Ned's wife from Slapshot, where they're sharing a bottle before the Charlestown Dog. Because, it's like, hey, what the hell can you do? They blew it, right? Let's have a round.
They blew it all right.
Yeah. But what happened to the Patriots is something like Game 7 of the 1986 World Series, which I was watching at 3:30 in the morning in Germany, in West Germany. I was supposed to go within 2.5 hours at 6 a.m. I'm supposed to go on this, whatever it was, field maneuvers or anything. And because of the difference, we're watching the World Series, Game 6, and I turned to my friend Martin. I'm in his room because he had a TV. Only guy I ever met from New Hampshire in all my years in the Army. And I turned to him and say, Martin, I can't believe it. The Red Sox have won the World Series. And then it happened. And until I met Peter 5 years later, I never talked about that, how I had lost the World Series by saying that. But I guess you had a similar experience, right? And the coffee table never survived.
Man, you cannot say anything. As Yogi said, it ain't over till it's over.
Oh, jeez. That's why
Talk about living proof.
Oh, my God.
It's 3:30.
Oh, you're going to really turn your back to Ward 13 and the sports show. Well, go.
Thank you for having me, John. It's a pleasure as always.
I've got Peter, Peter here. You traitor or so and so.
Same with Kyle.
Just
Cheers, bud.
X him out. Get rid of him. We'll go with Peter now. Okay, I'll just turn this. Peter, yeah, did you when I was out in California, I saw that game. I was in Pacific Grove with my friend, and the betting in California, it was a straight bet. I've never seen that in my life, and my friend was saying, "Oh, I wish they put $1,000 on the on the Patriots. We're watching the game." Well, he didn't, and he saved his $1,000, right?
Yeah.
They were such prohibitive favorites.
It's just like when I think about the all-time Boston
Blowouts.
crushing disappointments. 18-1 Patriots, and just like you said, Hop, Game 6 of the '86 World Series, and in
19
Game 7.
the 19 game.
This year's Bruins thing, it's not up to that level. Mostly because it was still the first round,
Right.
but it's coming in a solid third, I think, at this point.
No, it can't beat Game 163 and 78. It can't beat Game 7 of 1975 or Game 7 of 67. We were just kids, and when Bob Gibson hits 2 home runs. A Hall of Fame pitcher.
Is with those Sox teams. I mean, were you really expecting them to win that playoff game against the Yankees?
No, were you? I wanted them to.
Were you really expecting them to beat the Big Red Machine in '75?
I was hoping.
Those were real disappointments, but you can't say they were shocking.
They were incredible disappointments, like your first girlfriend giving you the kibosh in high school, something like that. Not quite up to the divorce. That's I don't love you anymore. I'm going to divorce you. That was Game 6 of 1986, where things get broken, TVs are smashed. You go on a drunk for a few days, and you're depressed for the whole week, and you just hole up in the men's room reading the sports section at work.
It reminds me of my breakup with Eva Gabor.
Well. You did. What are we going to talk about now? Why don't you tell the people once again, the story about your father and the 1967 Boston Red Sox, that incredible team that we grew up with, headed by Carl Yastrzemski, headed by the Boomer, George Scott, Jim Lonborg, Rico Petrocelli. Unfortunately, not Tony C., but Tony C. was replaced by Ken Harrelson, the Hawk.
That's right.
What is the Stilla claim to fame?
The 67 Sox have been, an oft-told tale, but, as far as any sports team's single season, there hasn't been anything that was, definitely touched with magic, like the 67 Sox.
Right, they were four teams.
It was really, quite something.
4 teams in contention.
And, at a certain point in the season, my dad worked for, Boston Globe. He was a editor, a sports page editor. And, the big hit theatrical production of the year was Man of La Mancha.
That's right.
That's right, which, I think Robert Goulet was the lead or so. No, it was, what was his name?
Richard Kiley.
Richard Kiley. So anyway, the big bravura musical number was The Impossible Dream to Dream.
The Impossible Dream.
So anyway, my dad, who was in charge of headlines at the Boston Globe for the sports section, said it was after a certain game in July or something. Impossible Dreams, Red Sox come through again, and the rest is history, as they say. It really caught on, and the record album, the vinyl album that came out after the season was called The Impossible Dream, and that was basically what the team became known as. So.
Didn't your father, hadn't he taken your mother to see the Man of La Mancha? No, it's Man of La Mancha now. I'm trying to get a bass voice here.
Yeah.
Didn't he go? They went to see the road show in Boston, and before he tagged that to the headline.
They went to see the show. It was in Boston one night, and
probably at the Colonial.
And then
or
he
Schubert.
came home, and he had this inspiration, so.
Well, that's what you got paid for in those days. Remember, a lot of newspapers had people that just wrote headlines.
That's right.
Yeah,
well,
that's
it was
gone now.
More to the job than headlines, but it was one of the responsibilities, and so. Anyway,
it's just in those days.
And the Sox took the Cardinals to 7 games, and that Cardinals team was great and
world class.
They may have had a chance in Game 7, but they put Jim Lomborg out there, who was spent. He had just pitched
right
2 days before, I think. So. Anyway, that part of it wasn't meant to be, but
Bob Gibson, the great Bob Gibson, who won 2 Cy Young awards, about 255 games, but it was a little hard. Nobody got the 300 between Early Wynn in 1963 and then Gaylord Perry 20 years later. So 250, that was very respectable. He was one of the greatest pitchers ever, but he hit 2 home runs in Game 7. I mean, what the hell? Suddenly he's Babe Ruth,
Yeah, and that was the season before Gibson had, one of the greatest single-season...
Right. He has ERAs. He has the modern...
Time. I think his ERA was $1.12 or something like that.
It was 1.12, but he was only 22-9 because he got shut out, I think, 9 times. That was the year of the pitcher, but remember they lowered the mound after that because Yaz
lowered the mound after that, and that was also the year that Yaz won a batting title, and he was hit 301 or something.
It was 301. He was the only person in the American League to hit 300 that year. And, the next year, at least we got to see the Detroit Tigers beat the Cardinals, but that's hardly the same thing.
Yeah, that was a thing of beauty. The Tigers got some revenge for us, That was like the Mickey Lolich Tigers, right?
Oh, yeah, Mickey, big fat Mickey, he went on to own a donut shop afterwards because, they weren't paid as well as they are now, of course, or even 40 years ago. And the one thing I don't think Mickey should have owned was a donut shop because when he was pitching, he looked like he did own a donut shop. But he was the David Wells of his time. He won 3 games, man. And but people forget about that great Cardinals team because they won in '64 and ended the Yankees dynasty. And
that's right.
Had Lou Brock.
That's right.
They had the great Lou Brock.
It wasn't the same, but it had Lou Brock and
Kurt Flood.
Tim McCarver was on that team.
64 team, or Orlando Cepeda was on the 64 team. And he was on the 67 team, too. And what is the Red Sox connection with Orlando Cepeda? He was on the 64, 67 World Champions Cardinals. The Cardinals beat the Sox, and then they won the National League. And this is at the time, folks, there were no playoffs. You win and you go. And then he won 68, but they went down. Roger Maris was on the 67 and 68 Cardinal teams. What's the Boston connection and Boston Red Sox connection, and what is the Manchester, New Hampshire connection when you say Orlando Cepeda? Kyle, do you know?
I do not, no.
Peter?
Orlando Orlando Cepeda ended up being, I think, the Red Sox very first designated hitter.
That's right.
In 1973, is that correct?
Right, and he won. He was awarded the William Loeb Designated Hitter Award that was awarded by the union leader. And the American League took that award up and started giving out a designated hitter award because nobody would really want William Loeb, the notorious reactionary publisher's name, to be on their award. But, what can you do? An award's an award. But the league took it over. Orlando Cepeda, who took a long time to get into the Hall of Fame, but eventually made it. He was the first big DH. Because remember, the DH was just going to be something where, it was like a super pinch hitter. People weren't thinking that, somebody like, say, Joe DiMaggio, they used to have to wrap him in tape and put him out in the outfield. And Tommy Heinrich and the other outfield, they used to have to take Joe out and then bring him back in, because he could barely move.
I think I recall Eddie Casco saying, when the designated hitter started, it's not like I would put the DH like towards the top of the order.
Right.
It's I think that's for position guys. We'll put the DH down around where the pitcher usually hits anyway to give some pop down there.
Yeah, because, players basically, you still have the thing, after 30, they would just deteriorate so quickly. That was how, except if you're Frank Robinson. Frank Robinson got traded by Paul Richards when he was on the Reds. Frank Robinson had won the MVP award in '61 when the Reds got whipped by that great Yankees team. And he figured he'd come out of the school of the Mahatma, from the Brooklyn Dodgers. And his Branch Rickey's philosophy as a player at 30, you get rid of them because it's going to be downhill. Look what happened to Jimmy Fox. All those by the time he's like 32 or 33, it was over basically for him. Jimmy Fox, one of the greatest hitters.
Like Dylan Thomas.
Yeah, no kidding. What was it that Ted Williams said? He never saw such a physical specimen, but he had a pint of scotch in his back the back pocket of his uniform during spring training. But so Paul Richards trades him for Milt Pappas to the Baltimore Orioles, and then they win the World Series in '66, and Frank Robbie wins a Triple Crown, and the first person to win MVP in both leagues. But it wasn't supposed to be somebody like young Jim Rice wasn't supposed to be a full-time designated hitter. Remember, Jim did not like that either. But Yaz could still play the outfield. He won his 8th Gold Glove when he was 38 years old.
Yeah.
I'll never forget Yaz was at first. It was like 80 or 81, and he made this incredible play at first, which wasn't his position, but because he was having trouble with his ankles. He was 41, 42 years old, and it was against Billy Martin in his Oakland A's, and they asked him when Billy turned that team around before it all burned out because of what Billy had them doing, which is basically cheating and stuff and burning their arms out. But they asked Billy about the play, and he said it's been a long time since I ceased to be astonished by anything Yaz did. He'd already seen him.
Well, Hawk,
time for you to go, huh?
Commercial breaks in this show?
Why, you got to go to the bathroom?
No, because I would take the phone into the bathroom. No, but I'm ready.
Oh, come on in.
Watch my daughter play her last softball game of the season.
Hey, David, come on in. Okay, we'll let you go. I just saw somebody peeking.
Well, listen, another banged-up program.
Okay, and it will be online so that your kids can watch you humiliate themselves. Come on and sit down. Okay,
So
take
long,
care.
folks.
Bye.
You had all the greatest prop
caps and everything.
Well, we aim to please, you know.
I know. See, I'm just basic. I don't have a clue about technology.
Well, let's get you in one seat instead of three. Although
I'm gonna sit in this seat because see
okay.
the microphones over here. They're going cuckoo.
I am going to power down, and why don't we put the camera on you
And
if Kyle is there? Why don't you tell while I'm fixing things up over here, tell everybody who you are and what your show is.
all right, I'm David's B. I'm the readings guy. I'm on right after Fearless John here, Mr. Technology.
Why don't you move over a little?
Where?
Move just closer. I'll bring your chair with you. There we go.
Wow, look at that.
So we can have a tighter shoe shot.
All right, sounds good. And the name of the show is Norm's Friends.
Yes,
We
no.
do all kinds of fun stuff on there. I do. I start with an inspirational reading, then I do, interesting facts about whatever subject. Today it's going to be.
Do you want to do a reading about the about the Celtics? Because we already got the Red Sox going into the can.
Well, I'll do a quick cut of the cards. How's that? And
There we go.
And whatever the card says for the game, this is going to be it.
While we have the series, are we just going to do a game or the entire series?
Well,
They're playing the Miami Heat. They've done it. This is the 5th time in a row.
well, what do you want? You want the game or the series?
Kyle, what do we want?
Let's just go with the game.
We'll just go with
Go
the
with the
game.
game. All right.
Okay, give us a little time. There's people out there that obviously, since the old show, whatever in the Bear has closed on. We don't have a show that really that liked by people making book, but we do our best, So we're going to
Yeah.
give them a little time to place their bets, and then we'll have you've got the card now.
I do have the card.
Why don't you hold it up to the camera?
Okay. And see, I like
The Fool.
it. The Fool.
The journey
To be-
begins.
Not only does the journey begins, but see, they've got the right attitude for it. They're not sort of,
Oh, just keep it stationary so you can.
Well,
There we go.
I'm talking, so I'm happy
That's
to
Il Matteo in Italian.
What's him?
Il Matteo is
Oh,
the
is it?
fool. Oh, yeah.
Wow, look at that. My mother was Italian.
And you don't, but you
And
don't
I
know
don't remember
Italian?
her calling me that.
Is your name Matt?
No.
She probably,
But-
she probably had
See-
some choice words, other words. to tell
I'm
you.
going to say the Celtics, they're going to go in and they're going to win that game because they got that sort of carefree, attitude. They're not all stressed up and stiff and, you know what I mean. They're not going to choke themselves, so.
That's good, but we'll wait till next week for the, we'll call on you then.
All right.
Gonzo wants to do readings. Have you ever thought about mentoring him? I mean, he would have to show up. Of
Right.
course.
Well, I've offered, what can I tell you, John? I don't know how many times.
I know
And
you
I
were
mean,
offering
what
it again
about-
last week. He was supposed to be here this week, but he actually has a job today.
Get out. By the way, did you ever find out what happened to him for like those months and months where he was just...
Yes, but we can't talk about it.
Oh,
It's
all
one
right.
of those things like in the Army, it's actually top secret.
Oh, all right. So
Yeah.
if I find out, then I have to die, right?
No, we'll just put you in. We'll just put you in. What do we? I'm thinking of WPYP. That's my show, right? WPYP jail.
No, how come you have Paul Newman and
I used to know her name. She was married to a famous playwright, but she hasn't made it. I don't watch television.
I don't-
A lot
I
of
haven't watched
actresses,
it.
as they get older, they'll transition to like cable or whatever. That's from Slapshot, 1977.
Oh, wow.
And he's playing a hockey coach, Reggie Dunlop,
See, I
and they're
thought
having a
that-
nip in front of the Charlestown Dog.
well, I thought it looked familiar, the scenery.
Oh yeah, it's because it's a tribute to the inglorious failure of the Bruins in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, Reggie does take his ragtag team to the championship, but that is just fiction. Right?
Uh-huh.
And basketball has often had written endings, particularly when the Lakers were involved. But that's for when we
Now,
get to the
how's
finals.
this? I went to Lithuania, right? for vacation.
You went to Lithuania?
Yeah.
Why would you go to Lithuania?
Because my grandparents were from there.
Well, where did you fly into?
Vilnius.
From where though?
Oh, from Amsterdam. I had to change
Okay.
planes in Amsterdam. I went from Logan to Amsterdam.
Yeah, because I have a close friend whose family is in Kaliningrad, which used to be Königsberg, which is between Lithuania and Poland, and they've often wanted to be their own country and get the hell away from Russia. But that's where
It's a tiny little place.
that's where if Putin goes nuclear, which looks increasingly like possible, we're going to drop, what is it called, the W-80, a hydrogen bomb on Königsberg, which will not help Lithuania much.
That's
will
right.
it?
It won't. It won't. I know. It's like sort of, his Lithuania and Poland, and it's
Oh
sort
yeah,
of like
it's called an oblast. Its
all
own
right.
whatever
See
that
that-
now is.
but anyway,
sounds
what-
like cancer, right?
right. When I was there, basketball is very popular.
Yes, there's been Lithuanian players.
Right. You're right. And I'd go out for a beer, and what would be on in the bar? Celtics.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Matching.
40
That's-
years ago, nobody would watch any American sport, but unless it was the Olympics.
Right,
But,
but they don't really count.
But you have players.
Right. Matching, so I thought that was kind of cool. I felt at home.
Well, the Olympics haven't counted since 1976 because Jimmy Carter, to try to bolster himself, boycotted the 1980 Olympics. So then the USSR boycotts the 84. I mean, that wasn't what the Olympics was supposed to be about.
Well, I know, but well,
And then the last one I watched was 88. I was in the Army. Wasn't anything else
I
on the
haven't.
TV.
Well, I kind of watched. Well, I liked the balance and beam, that thing.
Well, that was the traditional. It used to be traditional Olympic sports. Now they got what is it? Synchronized swimming with a bunch of women with a lot. If we can use that word anymore, because I am a progressive Democrat. I might have just transgressed. On
no.
top of each other with all makeup. I say, what the hell has this got to do with the Olympics?
Right, but
But it gets ratings.
That's
Now the
it.
beach volleyball with the females, or was it upright carbon life forms based on the XX matrix? We don't wanna offend
birthing
anybody.
people. Don't you mean birthing
No, that's
people?
I'm not quite sure.
Oh, I'm not either.
A birthing person, somebody who gave birth, right? I don't know.
I don't know either.
And I just know that anything I say, because I'm an old fart, is wrong. I'm of the old new left, and we're all fascists and reactionaries, anyways.
Oh, see, well, at least you know
Yeah,
what
we
you
still
are.
think the CIA is evil, FBI's corrupt,
Yeah, but they are. I mean,
Yes,
come on.
but suddenly liberal Democrats that were, they're like the saviors of the republic. But we were talking sports, huh?
Right, I know. What happened? How did we digress?
Well, because politics is war by other means, and war's a kind of sport.
Well, that's true.
And they have high ratings. That's why CNN put Trump on, because their ratings are in the just.
No.
And that boosted them, but the playoff game did outrate them.
Did it?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
but when I was a kid, as we found out, you're from the greater Boston area.
Yeah.
The sports were baseball, hockey. Then
Yeah.
the Celtics came, after that. Then football, not until Brady, really. I mean, we had the spurt where we went to the Super Bowl in 85, 86, but then Chicago whipped us.
Yeah,
but that was always like the fourth sport,
Right. Well, I've been watching the Celtics for
Since Bill Russell was, alive.
since I was young, but this is how I got.
Since Bill Russell was young, because he only died this year. Yeah.
Right. So, but a friend of mine used to watch, and I would watch occasionally. So he said to me, "You like nonstop action?" He said, "So why don't you like basketball?" So, and that's how I started
Yeah.
watching it all the time.
I was a big fan, but sometimes the game changed for me, and it just wasn't as interesting. But I got older, and things. Maybe because the Celtics just.
Well, I used
Because
to
I'm a
watch
fan
too,
of
and it was
them.
when it was
But
Bird and Kevin McHale.
80s. That was such a great time. So great.
Right.
You remember what was it? was it the 80 playoffs? They were a day late. And remember they had time delay.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
because the NBA had blown out. It was Magic Johnson and Larry Bird in the rivalry that brought the NBA back right into prime time.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that nobody, it just basically in TV they just were ignoring it because it couldn't do ratings. Now it's it is outdrawing the number one attraction in America, which is Donald Trump. I mean, he still has his.
He's the number one attraction.
He is. We're going to have another. With Matt Carlin, continual material. You never run out of material with him.
Well, that's true.
What are you going to talk about? Well, you probably with Biden have plenty of material. But how many senile old men jokes can you do? How many? Come on.
I don't do any.
Okay.
I mean, I'm old, and if I do the senile jokes, it might make me senile.
Well, just like the backlash, the karma. But it's just like I said, the people were all upset that Trump was going to get his finger on the nuclear button. I said, it's three people. It's just not one. He said, well, don't tell people that because I'm making this an issue. So Joe doesn't have he has to be. He's got checks on him.
Right, who's one of them? Obama?
No, it's within the structure itself. Yeah, you think they were going to let Nixon, drunk Nixon? Well, we got to go. Why don't you pitch your show? Tell them to come in.
All right.
Come on.
Coming right up in a couple of minutes. Check us out. Norm's Friends.
Anybody? Any guests today?
No guests today.
Okay.
Just me. I got plenty of material to go over.
Okay.
And don't forget this Saturday, Manchester Elks, the corner of Granite and 2nd Street, Psychic Fair, 12 to 4. It's a fundraiser for the Manchester Animal Shelter.
Oh, you should raise a psychic shield and keep the neighborhood, we won't get into that.
Yeah, right.
No more local politics, folks. I got hacked Twitter, Gmail, everything on the weekend. It's like, sucks.
Have you had what's her name on yet, by the way? Have you reached out?
Not yet.
So,
Hillary is still eluding me after all these years. Bye, folks.
all right.